Hey everyone, welcome to the NintendoFuse Podcast. This is episode 317, recorded on June 17th, 2025. And on this episode, we're going to be talking all about the headlines and big news that's been coming out over the next couple weeks in the world of Nintendo, like Donkey Kong Bonanza, Summer Game Fest, Switch sales numbers, and more. And then we're also going to be talking more in depth on our experience with the Nintendo Switch 2. But before we jump into any of that, it's time for introductions. My name is Steve, and of course, I am joined by Barry and Greg. Barry, how's it been going?
Hey, it's been busy 2 weeks.
Has been. Greg, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I've just got some color because I was in the sun and got back from Super Nintendo World and more in California.
Nice. Like the shirt there. So if you're
Yep.
not watching the video version, Greg's shirt is the reason why you should be watching the video version, so you can see his Super Nintendo World shirt. But before we jump into what we've been playing, talk a little bit about Super Nintendo World and all the news and everything, we just want to thank you guys for being here. If you are tuning in live, thank you so much. Throw your hellos and your comments and everything throughout the live recording into the live chat. We'll be referring to you guys as much as we can throughout the entire recording. Joe Cade's there, so saying hi. And so thankful for you to be joining us. And if you've never joined us live, we go live every other Tuesday at 8 p.m. 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time. And we'd love for you guys to join us both on YouTube and Twitch. And then the video version lives on our YouTube channel. You can also subscribe on your favorite podcast app to get all the audio versions of that as well. And just a little programming note, we are planning on taking a little bit of summer break. We typically do that over the summer, take a month or so break, and we're going to be doing that after our next episode. So episode 318 we'll record live on July 1st, and then we'll take off the rest of July. And so then we'll be back in August for you guys. And so just a heads up when you're wondering, hey, where did they go? We're taking a little bit of a break. I will be traveling all over the place, and I'm sure Barry and Greg will be finding things to do, maybe just playing Switch 2 the whole time while I'm traveling all over the place. But yeah, we'll be taking that break, so just make sure that you guys know and you're got the heads up before it kind of hits you, and then you're wondering where'd those guys go. So let's jump in first, Greg. I just want to give you an opportunity. What did you think of Super Nintendo World before we talk games? What did you think about the amusement park?
I really enjoyed myself. I was walking up towards the entrance. They have the giant warp pipe thing and a little photo op. This is also the one in California, not the one that just opened in Orlando. And I'm hoping to try to make myself there at some point. But I really absolutely enjoyed just going through the warp pipe. You hear the little sound effects and stuff, like you're warping into the Mushroom Kingdom, and then you have a little bit of Peach's Castle where you see some of the paintings from Mario 64 style, and they kind of go to switch to different things, and there's the Bomb painting and stuff from Bomb Battlefield and some other ones that kind of cycle through on a rotation, and then you pretty much just step out into the open area. So I guess my main criticism is it felt like it was supposed to be a lot bigger. So this one felt kind of tiny. The area space wasn't very big. I felt like even just seeing when Miyamoto had announced it and showed it off, it seemed like it was going to be pretty huge. And then I think I also had some misinformation. I thought that the Donkey Kong ride was supposed to open in the Hollywood one, but apparently that was not the case. So there's only the one ride there, and then there's also 4 or 5 different mini games or something you can play around in the area. And then there's obviously the meet and greets and a few other things to play around with, shops and a restaurant and other things to do there. So we really enjoyed the restaurant a ton because we ate there twice, both lunch, both days. We did the early access on the first day, so we were able to be one of the first first 100 people into the area, and we're able to ride the Mario Kart ride right away. I really thought that the vending machine thing with the wristbands was also really cool, so we each got one of those to link up with the app and track all the stamps and stuff you can collect all around the world, and even tracks how many times you rode the ride. And so that was pretty cool to see all that. The ride was absolutely incredible. I was expecting to get like sick and had taken like Dramamine and all that other stuff, but I didn't feel anything much at all. So I was able to. We rode it, I think, around like 5 or 6 times between the 2 days that we were there. So that was really incredible to be able to ride that pretty good there. And I guess it also kind of helped that my daughter was in a wheelchair because she had trouble like walking, so we had to rent one at Universal. So then we also got some special treatment to cut the line at times. So they're like, "Oh, here you can use the free express pass and just take this side." And we'd have to like wait in the main general line at all times. Sometimes it just depended on the member, like the worker or whatever the employee that was directing when we get off the elevator. But um, yeah, I didn't have to climb a single staircase in that area, but going through Bowser's Castle was incredible. I took tons and tons of photos, like the Bowser statue, all the different cups and trophies and stuff from Mario Kart, and any other like, kind of little references that I found like in there, and everything. It was all really, really cool. The theme park area is exceptionally done well, and had a lot of fun just spending time with my wife and daughter, just walked around playing the different games and had some good food, and also be able to, of course, ride Mario Kart.
Nice. That's exciting. Going to the chat real quick. Hassan's here, and he's saying we can't take a break, so we offered him to take over as hosting duties, but instead he's going to join us as a guest on the next episode. So, that's a good one. And then Jakster's joining us. Jakester, welcome back. You haven't been here for a live one in a while, so cool to have you back as well. Let's go to Barry first for games, and then we'll go back to you, Greg, for your games.
Sounds good.
Yeah, well, I didn't go to Super Nintendo World.
Well, only one out of the three of us haven't been yet.
Right. My plan is to do the Florida one when my son is a little older and after the craziness has gone down. But no, so I've been busy playing games, and I've got my in-laws are in town, and we had Father's Day, just a couple days ago, so my father was in, so it was kind of crazy in the house, plus, a toddler. So, I started doing some stuff. So on Switch, I'm still doing Pokemon Unite. I played a little NASCAR Arcade Rush because my father-in-law loves NASCAR, and it's the only one that's still technically available, because the other ones are delisted. They're physical though. And that game made me sick. Like I wanted to love this game because I love fast racing games, but it made me sick. Like because sometimes you're turning and you're fine, and then suddenly it's like, oh, I want to say hi to the wall, and it just goes 90 degrees and slams into the wall, even though you didn't do anything. And I'm just like, this is terrible. So I played one race and I felt it. I felt my nausea kicking in, and I'm like, well, that was fun. Booted up Neo Geo Pocket Color Selection Volume 2, because I played the Mega Man arcade games, but I haven't played the Neo Geo Pocket Color versions where they brought it down to like 8-bit. And while I own the original, I figured this would be an easier way to play it. Unfortunately, it's all in Japanese, so the story, you can't read it unless you like pull up your phone every time. It's the same story as the arcades though, but the gameplay is the same, and it was fun. It was quick. I mean, it probably took me 10 minutes, 15 minutes maybe tops to beat it. But it was a fun little mess around with. And then I got into another obsession where I played this game a while back, it was called Asphalt 9 Legends. But then they showed this trailer with a Sonic promo, and I was like, okay, but now it had updated to Asphalt Legends Unite. And my data was gone. It was all new, so I lost everything. So I had to start over, brand new, and I've been working on the Sonic event and getting the skins for the characters. And my son absolutely loves this game. Like he will stop what he's doing and just watch the cars move and the colors. And he just loves it. And I'm having fun with it too. So whether I like it or not, I'm playing the game because he loves it. But I am enjoying it. It is, yeah, I wish it didn't, have so much microtransactions, but there's a lot you can do for free. But like, unfortunately, I had to spend some money to get like the Sonic skins because that was the reason I bought the game. So I'm like, I have no choice. They're putting those behind, but I know it's a limited time thing. And what really sucks is there's some great Sonic music that plays during the Sonic event, and it's like Live and Learn and Escape from the City, and like I am All of Me, and I'm like, these songs are going to disappear when this event ends. And I wish I could pay some money just to put them in the rotation because they're really good music. But alas, I won't be able to. But I'm having fun with it. My father-in-law loves watching it too, so it works. These are all on the Switch 1, by the way. Switch. Then on the Switch 2, I played some Switch 1 games. One is Ruffy and the Riverside, which I will be doing a review for. That comes out next week. It is a 3D platformer, but all the characters are 2D. They're flat. So think Paper Mario, Mario 64, with some other mechanics that I will get to in the review. So stay tuned for that. And I also played some Clubhouse games. I booted it up to see how it worked and what they added at the game share. And we didn't mess around with game share, but I played through a bunch more games. It was like, hey, maybe my in-laws will be interested in this. You know, these are kind of they don't play video games. These are simple games. But then I booted up MLB The Show 25, which I haven't booted up and I haven't played a show game in years because my father-in-law loves baseball, and boy, did he love it. He loved it to the point that for Father's Day, he got a Switch 2 now, and he has MLB The Show, and he's sitting there playing MLB The Show and Mario Kart now. And
Nice.
my wife and I are like, we never thought we would ever see him sit there playing a video game. My stepfather is the stereotypical Southern, man, the truck driver, the hunter, the just the big tough. I don't have time for video games, and here he is. He's playing and he's loving it, and I
Like
love
baseball.
that.
Yeah.
I love that fact, and he's just having a ball, and that's why I love video games. It just doesn't matter who you are; you can just have fun. And then I booted up the NSO apps. I was showing him some of the stuff because he had a Switch 2. We got him on our family plan, so we're like, look at all these games. Maybe you want to play around. And then for the Switch 2 proper, obviously continuing the NSO, I booted up GameCube just to check it out. But then Mario Kart World, of course, playing Mario Kart World. Sonic X Shadow Generations, something we will be reviewing, but I wanted to see how the Switch 2 version played compared to the PlayStation 5 version. And we'll just say it plays very well. And Puyo Puyo Tetris 2S, another game we will be reviewing, and a game I've wanted to play, but I never got around to playing the original on the Switch, so it was kind of cool to do that and see the new mode. There's a new mode in there that I got to test out with my wife, so we were talking about that in a review coming up. So definitely check that out. PC side, still doing Final Fantasy 14. Don't ask how I have time to do random things, but I'm just doing daily stuff. And I'm behind in the grind. I gotta do that. But I did get my new relic weapon, so I'm happy. That was a nightmare. I had to do that before the Switch 2 came out. Oh man, Atma farming. If you played Final Fantasy 14 before, you know what that means. Mobile side, still doing Mario Kart Tour. Still doing Pokemon TCG Pocket. Still doing my daily LinkedIn games and the New York Times games because I need some brain games to just keep me going, and I have fun with them. So
Cool. Greg, other than hopping around Super Nintendo World, what have you been playing?
Well, really quick, I forgot to show this off from the other thing I got, like the little pin collection from the little badges. So that's one of
cool.
several different things that I picked up. So,
Nice.
oh, great, my dog picked a good time to start yelping. But pretty much on the plane, I played Mario Kart World a little bit more, and then finally got to play around, did some more of the open world area, and also did a few more of the different tours and CC trophies. Then I also had started the Sonic X Generations one that we'll be covering in the review and a future episode of the Game Chat. And then pretty much was just wrapped up around the mobile stuff this time around. Had a lot of time with obviously being on another state that I didn't really have tons and tons of time for just sinking into super deep outside of just like the plane ride and a few miscellaneous nights. So I did play some of the Roblox games with my daughter. The newer one that this time around is Grow a Garden. It's basically a little like farming type simulator where you just kind of plant a bunch of seeds and then you get like different plants for fruits that you can then sell, and then obviously you have to use the money you get from those to buy even more seeds to expand your garden. So it's pretty simple and pretty straightforward, and my daughter seems really getting a lot of fun with that one. Um, Still did a little bit more of Dandy's World. That's like the horror kind of game where you're kind of going around the floor with a team of other players, and you guys have to work together to kind of dodge the they call them like twisteds, like they're the enemies on the floor that try to defeat the players, and then essentially you just have to complete some tasks just to get to the next floor, and it's basically endless, and you just kind of go as long as you're able to stay alive. And then still doing my standard like a Adopt Me game that I play quite a lot, and then also I guess another newer one that just came within the last few days was like a Steal a Brain Rot. It's kind of a weird like a game where like a bunch of characters walk down the center and they call them like brain rot characters, and they're just like whatever random like type characters that don't really make any sense and have goofy names, and then pretty much you can use like some of the game's currency to try to lure one of the characters into your base, but then you can attack other players and overpay for their characters, so then you can get them to go to your base instead. And then when they're in your base, like you can set like a lock on the gate, so then players can't come in and steal the ones that you've collected. And then pretty much just kind of managing like your time, making sure that your gate stays locked, and also trying to collect newer ones. And then basically when they're in their base, they generate you more money to get better ones to find or whatever. So that's kind of a weird name type game, but it's pretty interesting premise of being able to steal from other players and basically just grinding out imaginary currency. But uh, then I did do a little bit more Pokemon trading card game, still kind of doing the picks here and there and still opening up new packs. I had a number of misses over the week or whatever, just because just being too busy to open up on a daily basis. But I did get a few times in here and there each night. Thankfully, there's no big event going on to do that outside the new deck, so or the new deck of cards, I guess. And then right before the trip, I had stopped playing Disney Pixel RPG. They recently announced that they were going to go up to this 6-star rating, and I just had literally finished getting all my characters to 5-star, and I didn't really want to have to be saying let's grind even more materials, because now you're making it even more difficult, and kind of just wanted to just throw in the towel at that point because it didn't seem like it was good to continue onwards.
All right. Yeah. You know, one of the things that has shocked me, and maybe it's going to happen in the future, but I still don't understand why we don't have Roblox on Switch, but especially Switch 2. Like, you'd think that they would be eventually throwing that game on there. Why not? So I downloaded it.
Yeah.
I think I talked about it in last
Last time.
episode or something like that, but I downloaded. I still haven't booted it up, but I have it on my phone now.
Yep.
So,
And it's weird that's
closer.
on. And it's weird that's on like PlayStation and Xbox. So I mean,
Yeah.
it could easily be there. I mean, I understand there's a lot of games that have chat, and even like voice chat has to some extent, but you need to have like a confirmed phone number and all this other stuff. But yeah, I'm not quite sure why Nintendo doesn't want that on their platform.
Doesn't make sense,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
Jake's just
Yes.
asking what game at Roblox. Yeah.
It's
So
basically a community set of apps with like basically millions of different style games, and
Yeah.
there's a number of different like there's like platformers, there's like puzzle ones, there's like the survivor horror one I talked about. There's basically every type of genre you can imagine on here, in just a very simplistic form.
mhm. It's what I feel like they're trying to turn Fortnite into.
Yeah.
Now as well. Yeah.
There was one other game I forgot to mention that I am doing, or I did do this week. It just came out a couple days ago. It's called Wallet Destroyer. And that is the fact that Wizards of the Coast decided to launch a Final Fantasy Magic the Gathering crossover group of sets this past Friday.
That is right up your alley.
And I am going for the set as much as I can. And let me tell you, everybody and their mother is also doing it, and it is insane. I don't know if you've seen the cards, but they're beautiful, and oh my god, it is
Wow.
crazy.
Yeah, my cousin actually sent me the thing that's showing a few of them from Final Fantasy 4 and 6, my two personal favorites. So like showed like the Cecil being like a really overpowered kind of strong card, and so those
Yep,
look pretty
suplex.
cool, and I might be trying to dip into that a little bit too, depending on availability and all that other stuff.
Nice.
So the good news is you can get the entire complete set, the base set, with the play packs. The
Okay.
problem is there's there's new versions of every card has like 4 versions, and the rare versions are only in the collector packs.
Of course.
Then there's the commander set, where if you buy all 4 commander decks, you get the whole base set. But if you want the special versions of those cards, you need collector sets, or at least collector packs. And then there's an art set. There's an entire 53 art or card art set, and then there's also what they call Through the Ages, which is a separate set that's just beautiful artwork throughout the different games. It's insane how many things they've put out. And then they did Secret Lair at the same time, which is like instantly sold out, and it's wild. Like I've seen people drop $4,000 easy on cards.
Wow.
And what doesn't help is the fact that there's a serialized card. Like, do you remember when Lord of the Rings Magic happened? There was the One Ring, and like a Post Malone paid like $2 million for it.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
So in this one, it's a golden chocobo. There's 77. That's it. They're literally numbered on the card.
Wow.
It doesn't do anything different than the regular traveling chocobo,
Sure.
but it's
It's just a
golden
collector.
and collector. And I think only 3 to 5 have surfaced thus far. One's on eBay. They keep lowering it. It's at 75,000 right now. But
Wow.
I don't know who will buy it, but I know a lot of people are gunning for it. It's only in the collector packs, which are usually $45 to $50 MSRP a pack.
Maybe I should go for it.
$400 for a box. Go for
It's
it.
about my house. Anyway. I'll just get it and put it immediately on eBay. I have no desire to keep it.
Hey, if you do, then congratulations.
I might just
That's why
buy
everyone's buying them.
one pack and just see what happens. It's kind of like a lottery at that point.
It is. It's a lottery.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I've been playing mostly on Switch 2 the last couple weeks. I did play a game on Switch 1 called Culebra, something like that, and the Souls of Limbo. And this is kind of like it's a pretty casual game, and you kind of go through each of these papercraft worlds, and you're in limbo, this kind of space in between, the life and afterlife, and you're this dead snake with a heart of gold, and like basically encountering all these people that are also are animals or people or whatever that are also in limbo, and some of them are weird, some of them are nice, some of them are, and you're just basically looking for clues and trying to get through each stage, and it's okay. I've only played a little bit so far, but it's kind of one of those cozy, don't really think about it kind of games. And so I may continue to kind of play it here and there when I'm traveling on the plane or something like that. But it's nothing like immediately grab me. But granted, I've only spent like 15-20 minutes with it so far, so take that with a grain of salt so far. And then most of the time, like I said, I've been playing on Switch 2, so a lot of Mario Kart Tour. Sorry, I said Tour in my list. It's Mario Kart World. So Mario Kart World. I keep thinking it should be called World Tour. But Mario Kart World. And then played a little more of the Switch 2 Welcome Tour. Another tour. I just realized, yeah, maybe that's why I had him in my mind, tour. But anyhow, Welcome Tour. And that's, I completed all of the stamps within the game and got to the last thing and got the congratulations, and that was it. I was like, oh, cool. So I now that I've been through it and I played the vast majority of the quote unquote mini games in the thing, I can definitely say that I do not recommend it. And so it's not worth the $10 at all. It's just not. Like, yeah, I thought it would include some like hidden things or whatever, and maybe it does. I'm just trying to find them, but all the things that I've found, it's cool, but it definitely should have been included. I'll say that over and over and over again, and it's not worth $10. And then played some Sonic and Shadow Generations. I had not played the Shadow side of that on other consoles. I only played the original Sonic Generations. And so playing Shadow Generations for the first time, wow, that is a completely different game. And I don't know if I like it or not, but stay tuned to our game chat in the future for us to talk more about that. Also played some Puyo Puyo Tetris 2S as well, and yeah, that was, I've been having fun with that. I've not played the 2-player stuff. I tried to go online, but there was like no one that I was able to attach to and play online. Maybe it was just time of day, but I was not finding anybody there. And then I played some NSO GameCube. I played some Soul Calibur 2, which is one of my favorite fighting games ever, especially playing with Link. That's fun. And then played some F-Zero GX. Hadn't played that in a long time, so that was fun. Played some Rocket League, a little bit of Rocket League, and that was only on the Switch 2 that I played. And it was also, I think, since I played, they have an official Switch 2 version out now, I believe. I need to check and see, but it seems like they're pushing a Switch 2 version now. But I played the Switch 1 version that was on there, and it felt weird. Like I don't know what it was, and like my controls all of a sudden were like off too. It had like my bindings and my controllers were like switched up, and I have no idea why. And then yeah, it just felt really fluid, and there was lag on my controller. Like I would be missing the ball a lot, and so something felt off. But I think since then we actually have a Switch 2 version, so I need to try that out again. But we do have season 19 soon coming out, I think tomorrow, and so that's big. And Clash Royale and Pokemon TCG on mobile as well, and just kind of plugging away on both of those games. So let's look at the chat. I know Jakester was sharing. He played Mario Kart World, and thinks it's fun, but not worth the 100%ing in his opinion. Which that totally makes sense. There's so much in that game to unlock and find. And then Splatoon 3, Xenoblade X, Dokapon Kingdom, and Lego City Undercover. Oh, I did forget to mention, I did boot up my Wii U the other day as I was like setting up my systems and getting everything plugged in with the Switch 2. I booted it up. Everything's still there. I didn't lose anything. I didn't wipe it out or anything like that. And so I had to get my Pro controller all charged for the one day that I finally do get back to Xeno X on Wii U. So at least I can safely say that it's still in good condition and it's still working properly. But my Pro controller was very, very, very dead. And then Oki Reps has been playing a lot of Fast Fusion, and so yeah, we are trying hard to get Shannon to send us some codes for Fast Fusion, and it hasn't happened yet. But hopefully they will get those over to us sometime, or we'll just shell out the cash and get it ourselves. But it'd be great to
They
get
keep
some
ignoring
review
me. I
codes.
keep
Me
posting. I'm
too.
like, and they're like, here's all these other reviewers, and I'm like, who are these people? Like,
Mm-hmm.
let us get a shot. Come on,
Mm-hmm.
we
Be
did
great.
the other games.
So. But yeah, let us know what you guys have been playing. If you got your Switch 2, let us know all those thoughts as well. We're going to jump into the headlines right now of some news. But again, if you're in the chat, be sure to let us know all your thoughts and what you've been playing and all that stuff. Anytime, we'll refer to you guys throughout as much as we can. But let's jump into these headlines this week. And Greg is going to kick us off with some information that's going to be dropping tomorrow.
Yeah, so Nintendo actually announced their next Nintendo Direct. So we got pretty much a live broadcast that will be occurring tomorrow, the 18th at 6 a.m. Pacific time, and then 9 a.m. Eastern time. So be sure to check it out to learn more about Donkey Kong Bonanza, which will be around 15 minutes of information for the upcoming Switch 2 game.
Speaking of presentations, last time we talked all about Summer Game Fest because it was happening, and this is if you want, E3 Lite. So there were many different presentations going on, including State of Play from Sony and an Xbox showcase, and of course Jeff Keighley's big 2-hour presentation, which is the Game Awards without the awards, really. And if you watch those, a lot of people were talking about one missing thing. Where's Switch 2? Every game shown off was pretty much PlayStation and Xbox, and a few had Switch, whether they were like during the presentation or after the fact. Like in the Sony State of Play, they showed off Final Fantasy Tactics coming to PlayStation, and then later on it was like, oh yeah, it's also coming to Switch. One, not two, but one. Uh, and that's a big thing. Where's Nintendo? Do they want to announce their own thing? We don't know. But there was one interesting announcement by Xbox that could take a little market share from Nintendo. We don't know. They announced a partnership with Asus where they're going to create a ROG Ally dubbed the first portable Xbox, and definitely feels like the PlayStation Portal, the Switch 2, the Switch 1, and Steam Deck and all those other things. But will it make a dent, or will it just fizzle away? Only time will tell.
Well, Nintendo Switch 2 had a giant weekend of its opening 4 days, and we know that Nintendo has officially reported that they had the fastest selling Nintendo game system ever, and it also makes it the biggest selling game system overall. 3.5 million units were sold worldwide those first 4 days. And also, no word yet on the U.S. numbers. They haven't released that. A lot of times they don't. They aren't too keen about that. But we have heard from a few European countries. For instance, France said that they had 200,000 units on opening weekend, which is almost double the PS5 record of 107,000. And then Spain said it set sales records for the largest opening weekend of any game hardware with over 108,000 units, which tops the previous record of 54K by the PSP. Mario Kart World is also now the best-selling game of 2025 in Spain with almost 90,000 sold. And in the UK, the Switch 2 had the biggest opening week for any Nintendo platform ever by over 160,000 sold. So congratulations to Nintendo. Those are some big numbers.
And Nintendo continues to update their music application, and as usual, I am here to cover it for you guys. So on June 2nd, we got the Tears of the Kingdom the soundtrack was added to the app, and then on the 16th, just yesterday, the Clubhouse Games 51 Worldwide Classics has been added. So be sure to check out the application if you got your NSO subscription to listen to some more great Nintendo music.
And Steve mentioned a little game called Mario Kart World. Well, some players have claimed that Mario Kart World has what's called dynamic difficulty, where they're noticing that the CPU is actually performing better the better you are, specifically in 150cc Knockout Tour. Those blue shells right at the end, right at the finish line. I knew there was something going on with that. Happened too often. But did you notice that while playing Mario Kart World?
And then some fun things to notice in Switch 2 edition games. Some of them have the ability to actually play on your Switch. It includes the Switch 1 edition in the game, in the cartridge. Some games like Zelda's games that are now out, Breath of the Wild and the
Tears of the Kingdom.
Tears of the Kingdom, and then Rune Factory and a few others are actually playable on the Switch 1. But some gamers are claiming that the box's language is not intuitive, though. So even though it says that it includes the Switch 1 game on there, it doesn't necessarily mean that you can play it on the Switch 1. So a little Easter egg that if you grab one of those, you may want to pop it in your Switch 1 and see if you can play the Switch 1 version.
So hot off the presses, Nintendo had an announcement earlier today where the 007 First Light will be launching on Nintendo Switch 2. There's not really an exact launch date, but they are targeting 2026. So basically, it's kind of the story of an origin story for James Bond. So this game will be I guess developed by IO Interactive and potentially even published by them or Nintendo themselves. I guess they didn't really clarify that, but I guess stay tuned if you're a fan of James Bond to see his origin story on Switch 2 in 2026.
And some sad news today, this morning. Kickstarter backers for the game Alzara Radiant Echoes were greeted with an email and an update. that despite being very successful last year during the Kickstarter process, they failed to find a publisher to assist them. And despite all the time and effort to put together the game as much as they did and get the demo out there and go to shows, Studio Camelia, who make the game, will be shutting down and the game will be put on hold indefinitely. This was coming to the Switch, and unfortunately for all of us Kickstarter backers, our money is gone, which is one of those dangers of Kickstarter. And it's just sad because this was an RPG. It looked really, really good, at least in my opinion. And it's just indicative of the state of the industry, where even though you have a successful Kickstarter and you have a great game, that's no guarantee that you're going to find success. And let it be a cautionary tale.
Mm. And finally, for the headlines, maybe some of you remember the little mishap with GameStop, and so at least one store was stapling receipts on top of the Nintendo Switch 2 box, going right through the box into the glass or the display of the Switch 2. Well, apparently GameStop has now stated on their Twitter, their X, that's they have restocks are in stock, but staples are not included this time. So kudos to GameStop for just embracing the fact that they messed up severely and having a little fun with that as well. I'm hoping that all those Switch 2 purchasers got a good working one now without holes in their Switch 2 screen. But now you can definitely guarantee that your future Switch 2s that you buy from GameStop will not have staples in the screen. Well, let's jump back into just some discussion here. What do you guys think about these stories? I'm going to go to the chat real quick and just kind of see what they're saying. A lot of people were talking about, I think, Fast Fusion was played by Oki Reps. Jakester is excited about Lego Party. It was the best thing announced during Summer Game Fest, according to him. And then Oki Reps is also hoping that the James Bond game is published by Nintendo because a key card would suck. And yes, I think we all agree with that. But yeah, what do you guys think about these headlines, Greg? What's your thoughts?
The direct is kind of interesting. I was hoping to try to be more be able to ignore the information as it comes and just be able to enjoy the game when it releases next month. But obviously, for the next podcast, that'll be one of the main topics, so I'll have to buckle down. So haven't really gave it a lot of thought of what they could show, but I'm sure there's could be a lot of fun stuff. It could be like, oh, now you can play as a Funky Kong, Funky Kong mode again. That was a very big hit for Tropical Freeze. I didn't end up getting a chance to watch the Summer Game Fest, so I'm hoping to maybe catch a recap or see if other great games that are coming to the Switch or Switch 2 that I could add to my ever-growing backlog. The Switch sales numbers obviously was very impressive. Obviously, it's their best launch that they've ever done for a console, so very good job there. The musical app, I think I definitely noticed that the Tears of the Kingdom was there because I think they were playing like the Stone Talus theme at the Best Buy when I was picking up my Switch 2 console, so that was pretty cool to be able to jam to that one. Let's see, the Mario Kart World thing, I actually did see a few other people reporting some of that and trying to say like, oh, if you really want to get the easy gold trophy, that you could just not do any of the like power drifting and pick like the higher speed characters and carts combinations to potentially beat it if it is that way. So I thought that was kind of an interesting note there. Let's see, the Switch 2 physical editions, that's certainly a big surprise because I know at least for the 3DS that wasn't really backwards compatible with the DS. So obviously with the same carts and everything, I guess it could actually happen there. But really glad to see that it's easily backwards compatible if you somehow buy the wrong version. The first light that had covered sounds very interesting, and I really enjoyed GoldenEye, so I'm probably looking forward to checking this one out when it hopefully releases next year if it doesn't get delayed. And then it's sad news for the RPG that had to be shut down and canceled because no publisher. So that those things kind of always stink there. And then obviously GameStop is just trying to be funny with the memes with the no staples in the screen kind of stuff there after their own mishaps that they had there. So, but yeah.
Yep. Barry, what do you think?
The DK Bonanza Direct isn't what I think we all wanted, but I hope it's better than the Mario Kart Tour or the World Direct, because the World Direct didn't really give us much. So I'm kind of like, do I watch this or not? Because I'm already sold in the game, right? I'm already planning on getting it. But I'll probably have to watch it because whatever is revealed will be all over the internet and I'll be unavoidable anyway as well. I might as well watch what their presentation. Summer Game Fest, I didn't watch as much this year as I have other years, but I did sit through the entire 2 hours of Jeff Keighley's presentation. And I noticed that. I was like, there's no Switch 2. Is there going to be a Switch 2 announcement? I was really shocked that there was nothing from Nintendo, nothing, you know, nothing shown. And James Bond was shown. Not only was it shown, but they also announced that there was going to be an IO presentation where they showed more stuff for it, and it still wasn't talked about being on the Switch 2. And now today it's Switch 2. So I'm wondering how many games they're either like working in a contract with Nintendo and it's just not there yet, that they're just going to suddenly pop up. And I'm hoping that's a lot of them. But I feel like Nintendo should get these things squared away as early as possible, because it does send a message to gamers. Because if a gamer just got a Switch 2 and they don't have those other platforms and they're, oh, Summer Game Fest, let me watch this, and they watch 2 hours worth of game trailers and they see nothing coming to their platform with the occasional Switch game here or there, that's pretty disheartening. It's like, well, why did I spend $450 or $500 on this when I could have got a PlayStation and I would pretty much get all these games, or an Xbox and pretty much get all these games? And that's totally understandable. Like, completely. Like, I get it. Like, absolutely. And I feel like that's something that Nintendo needs to get ahead of. And I know they like to control the narrative, and I know they like to announce things when they announce things, but public perception, like, that's a big stage. Getting those games out there, like that was E3. They were a big presence at E3. They had like no presence at Summer Game Fest, and that sucks. So I'm really hoping this is an off year and next year is better, because I noticed it. I know other people noticed it, and I really hope it doesn't hurt them. Speaking of hurting them, the Switch numbers are fantastic. It's great. It's selling like hotcakes. But how much of that is hype, and how much of that are people like the initial people buying it? You have scalpers on one side, and you have the people who are going to buy it no matter what, anyways. Like you and I, and we're going to buy it no matter what because we're Nintendo fans. What really matters is what happens after the launch window. And Nintendo's following it up with Donkey Kong. That's great. But when's the next game? October, November? November's Pokemon. I don't know when Hyrule Warriors is. I don't know when Kirby Air Riders is, but that's probably not a this year game. What do we got? We got Pokemon Champions coming out soon, sometime, I guess. Like we don't have a lot of information of Nintendo first party.
Yeah.
And if they feel like Mario Kart and Donkey Kong are going to coast them until Pokemon, I don't think the sales numbers will continue. I do not think they will continue that way. I think a lot of the games were already in development. A lot of third party is also going to other platforms, but the game key card thing is really hurting them, and the message at Summer Game Fest is hurting them. And while I want to see them continue selling, remember the Virtual Boy did sell 1 million units right at the start, and in the lifetime of the Virtual Boy, it did not sell 1 million units because a lot of those were returned. So, I'm not saying this is going to be a Wii U or a Virtual Boy situation. Far from it. I think it's going to be successful, but it might be closer to a 3DS situation in terms of launch, because once the luxury of or the glam of Mario Kart dissipates, and if Donkey Kong isn't your cup of tea, third parties isn't going to carry this system, at least not yet.
No.
And the games that you're playing are Switch 1 games, in which case, why should you bother upgrading? Like a lot of the games
we
are
are
not in
getting Metroid at some point. We still don't have an
some
actual
point.
date. It
We
just says
don't have
spring
a date.
2025. Yeah.
We don't have a date for Metroid that's coming. So and we don't know. So just curious to see where they go with the numbers, but it is awesome to see where they've started. Nintendo Music app updates, as always, it's great to see, and I hope they keep adding it. I did notice the Mario Kart World difficulty, and I will say this: stupid Kamek. I still need 3 of the damn costume or characters, and he will just not appear. And it gets tiring racing the same thing over and over, using the 2-player method and getting nothing. And it's just, RNG sucks. Stop using RNG. Um, the Nintendo Switch 2 games playable on Switch 1, I think, is fantastic. They did say it has the update, and a lot of those games are Switch 1 games with the update. So when you pop it in, you get both for the Switch 2. But that's almost like forward compatibility, if you
Mhm.
will, if you think about it. I love it. I think that's great, and it's that right there makes me even more angry about the game key cards, because if more games were physical and properly physical, then you would get a 2-for-1. Just like Xbox, you get a 2-for-1 on the disc, and some PlayStation games you get a 2-for-1. Uh, that would be awesome, but alas, it's not the way it is for everything. 007, I'm glad to see it come to Switch 2. I think it looks great, and I'm excited to see it. As for Studio Camelia, I hate that it shut down. I hate that I lost money. I hate that they couldn't find a publisher. It's indicative of the industry. It's a very tough industry right now. And even again, I've worked with successful Kickstarters. I've helped with that, and to know that it's still not always going to be enough, and that you need more on the back end. And games are expensive
Mhm.
to make, and I was looking forward to it. It's an RPG. I love RPGs and indie RPG, and it just sucks. And as for GameStop, as far as I'm aware, everybody did get it. I talked with my friend who does work at GameStop and is in the same district, because it was Staten Island, New York, I believe, that had happened. And what had happened was it was so hot that the tape was not sticking, because they were taping the receipt to the box, and the tape just wasn't sticking due to the humidity. So they decided to turn to staples. And that's why they did it. And it was an isolated incident. And I'm glad GameStop's poking fun of themselves with it. And everybody, as far as I'm aware, got replacement
Good.
units.
Good. Good. Yeah, I'm still on the fence what I think about Donkey Kong Bonanza. I'm glad there's the direct tomorrow. In normal fashion, they decided to drop it the day after our podcast records. So thanks, Nintendo. Uh, but uh, but yeah, so I mean I'm sure I'll watch it. I don't know if I'll watch it live or I'll watch it later, but at some point I'll tune in and see what it's about. And maybe it will change my mind, because I'm kind of 50-50 right now if I want to get it or not. But it looks like a fantastic game. It's just, when games are that expensive, you have to be a little more picky and choosy what you get. And then Summer Game Fest stuff, I was disappointed, like you guys. I mean, especially with Nintendo popping up on the supporter list and everything. You're like, Switch 2, you're like, oh, we're expecting things, and nothing, really. And so that was surprising. I'm interested to see what about this Rogue Ally, from Asus and Microsoft, see how that goes. I've heard that after that initial window as well, I think they're going to launch a new software for all portable PCs as well. That's going to make them all be able to boot right up into a portable Xbox. So that'll be interesting. I have like one of the first or second generations Rogue Allies, so I'm like, that could be interesting to see if I could play it on there. I can already play Xbox games on it, so it's kind of weird. Um, Switch sales numbers, you guys have said it already. Fantastic, great showing. And then music app, love that more games are coming there. Didn't expect Clubhouse games. I mean, I expected Tears of the Kingdom. Didn't expect Clubhouse games. That's cool. And then Mario Kart World stuff. I felt like there's definitely times where I have felt that. So it's interesting to see that more and more people are claiming that there is some sort of dynamic difficulty thing there, in addition to the regular rubber banding. Like, we already know that is the case for Mario Kart. It's been there from the very beginning, but to also have the dynamic difficulty on top of that is kind of unfortunate. And then yeah, like what you guys said about the Switch 2 editions, that's cool to see. I didn't expect that. 007 will be exciting. Also a huge fan of GoldenEye. I've not had a really good game on Nintendo since then, so that'd be great. The studio shutting down, like you said, that's unfortunate, and glad to see GameStop having some fun at their own expense. Let's see what the chat have been saying. Looks like I'm trying to go back and catch some stuff. There was someone. Oh yeah, Peachamon joining us and says excited for the Pokemon Direct in July. And yeah, I somehow had missed that. So that's coming on July 22nd. July 22nd is going to be that Pokemon Presents one. So that's cool. And then let's see what else. Yeah, Oki Reps says the packaging for the new Sonic Racing game on Switch 2 looks like it may be complete on Kart, and wondering if we think that Sega got the message. So
It did not.
did not. And then Peachamon says, I think the Switch will truly shine in 2026, which yeah, I that makes sense to me. You know, it can hit the ground running and be able to really get that going in next year and kind of hit its stride for sure. And then Jakester says, I noticed that the Switch 1 version of is that Dragon Quest 1 and 2
Yeah.
is physical, but the Switch 2 is just the key card. Man, that's so annoying that they're doing stuff like that. And then let's see, a lot of talk around how we hate key cards. And then Peachamon says, ultimately, I think Nintendo's goal was to make sure people got their hands on the system to combat scalpers, etc. Once the audience has the system, the games will come next year swiftly. And they did just that with the millions of people who already have the system, which is a great start. And then appeals to developers. Yeah, you get a lot of those systems in developer or in the public's hands. Yeah, now developers are going to want to develop for that system. So I totally agree as well. Would also say that Nintendo is rather confident, in which makes devs confident to produce great games for the console moving forward, especially considering the hardware is no longer limited. And Zev Zero is joining us from Australia. So cool. How's it going down under? So, well, let's move into our main discussion for this episode, and it's all about the Switch 2. We just thought it'd be fun to just, now that we've been playing for almost 2 weeks, and in some different settings. Greg's had it on the road, and then we've been playing, handheld, playing on the TVs, and all these different, been able to try out game chats and all these different things. So, what has our experience been like with the Switch 2 so far? And what do we like? What we would not like so much about the system. So let's start off with like how much you've been playing so far. Like what your experience has just general been like. Have you played a lot of it? Do you find yourself going back to the same games over and over? Are you trying out a lot of different things? Greg, what's your overall? How much have you been playing the Switch 2?
I wish I could say it's been a lot more. I had a pretty big issue. I charged my system for the trip, but then I had left Mario Kart World open after we did our game chat or whatever, and then let it charge for till the morning, and then I like unplugged it from the charger to plug it to pack it and everything to have it all set. And then when I took it out on the airplane, I was down to like 66%. So that was kind of disheartening to see. Nearly half of the battery life was just sucked away from it being in sleep mode for Mario Kart World. So I barely had like whatever an hour or two on the plane because it just was such a drain on the battery. So like that's kind of disheartening to see if it's a portable system, that it can barely even last like the 2 hours as advertised. Especially it's not even 2 hours of play time because like it was only unplugged off the charger for whatever like 4 hours or whatever it was. So that was very like I said, disheartening to see. Um, Other than that, I mean, I did get to charge it on the trip for the way home, and then made sure to close Mario Kart World because I didn't want that to rehappen again. So on the way back, I had whatever closer to 90s, like a 94, 92%, something like that. And then that was just with Sonic Generations on like the way home, and then it lasted basically most of the flight back. So it was only whatever half an hour short of like that 4.5 hour flight. So it got, at least got closer to 4 hours with it at nearly a full charge. So that part was at least better to see. But yeah, right now it seems like I'm much more hoping to play a lot more with it docked. But I guess time will see and how traveling plans work out later this summer.
Barry, what's your experience been like so far? Have you been playing a lot of it? I know you've played a lot of games, but is it in your your hands a lot, and you're actually getting a lot of time with it?
Yeah, so I've been playing both Switch and Switch 2, and I mainly played it docked. The Pro controller is beautiful. I love it. Um, I did play it a little bit portably, and feels good in my hand. My father-in-law has been playing it only portably, and like Greg, he's training the battery right now, so he's draining it and charging it and doing that. And he can get usually about some of 4 baseball games in before he has to charge it, which is good. But again, that's a Switch game, so next year when the Switch 2 version comes out, who knows how long that's going to be. But he's happy with it at least. He's been able to do that and plug it in. But battery life is always one of those. How is it going to be? And I know there's been some issues with the battery, and uh, curious to see if they upgrade the battery at any time during the life of it. But in terms of what I've been doing, I mean, our first day, and we talked about this in our impression videos, we did the game chat, and I have not used it since. Every time I go in there, none of my friends, it's showing nobody like
Mm.
there. And whether my friends are on and I just can't join because that was an issue we discussed, uh, but no one was using it. So I haven't been using game chat. Uh, Playing Mario Kart, playing, Puyo Puyo and Sonic that we have codes for. The eShop, man. Oh, it makes it so hard to go to the Switch One eShop. I can't believe they haven't updated the Switch One eShop. That is abysmal. That is like getting into a Ferrari and riding it, and then suddenly you have to get out and start crawling the same stretch. It's unbelievable the difference between the Switch 1 and the Switch 2 eShop. Like words can't even describe it. They need to update the Switch 1 eShop. It makes it so hard to give them money, which is so weird. You would think that they would, but Nintendo always hates money. They always hate us paying them. I mean, Operation Rainfall says it all. But the I've just been really enjoying it. I've been enjoying the faster speed. Not been enjoying the amount of space games take up, which I know you'll be talking about, Steve. And I'm looking forward, like right now, outside of Mario Kart, like I've been doing review games, and I still got more review games to go. But I'm looking forward to playing games that I really want to, that I'm looking forward to. And Zev mentioned Rune Factory, which is sitting here ready to go, and I'm really looking forward to that. And I think that's going to be the more testament. Like Mario Kart, I was looking forward to, but it's also like that launch game.
Mm.
It's the launch game always has that like gloss over it, right? We need to let the honeymoon phase wear out and see how it feels, after. And unfortunately, and I say this truly, unfortunately, I think a lot of the games I'm super excited for that would be like Switch, Switch 2, and PlayStation, I will be playing the PlayStation version just because they're physical. Like just
Mm.
today, Trails into Horizon was delayed because when they announced that there were also going to be a Switch 2 version and it's a game key card.
Mm.
And it's like I'm gonna play them on PlayStation 5 then, as opposed to I'm still getting the Switch One version because it's physical and properly physical, and then I have to pay an additional $10 to upgrade it on top of that. Like I might as well just pay the PlayStation 5 version and be done with it. These game key cards are going to hurt more than anything, and I really hope devs start to realize this. And the only way they will is if they stop selling.
So, because I've not had a PS5, I've only had PS4 and Xbox. So there's still installation stuff that you have to do on the PS5, right? So it
Yes.
effectively kind of functions similar to a key card, right?
No. The difference is installation is taking data that's on the disk and installing it onto the system.
Okay.
The game key card has no data, and it's taking data from the server and installing it. The difference is if the internet goes out or you don't have internet or airplane mode, whatever, you cannot put a game key card in and play the game. But you can plug the PlayStation disc in, install it from the disc, and play. You won't get any updates that have happened since then,
Hmm.
but at least you can play the game after it installs. So
Got
a
it.
lot of people think it's still a download because a lot of times when you put in a disc, there is also an update that you have to download,
Yeah.
and the install and the update are two different things.
Okay. That's good to know. Yeah, I've not really paid attention to it, and I remember having to download something, but I wasn't sure. Yeah, so that's just a regular update you're installing from the disk. That makes sense. Yeah, I think because of that, I mean, I'm pretty much, and maybe this is what Nintendo wants, is for more people to go digital, except for like their first party games. And so there's still like, there's probably a handful of games that I will be getting physical, but it's probably less than I got on Switch. I mean, I have a decent library of Switch 1 games. Some of them I bought, some of them I got as review copies. But yeah, I don't really know how many physical games that I'll be getting on Switch 2 because of that. If any, it's probably going to be first party and maybe the occasional one that they put the whole thing on, like Cyberpunk or something. But yeah, it's pushing me away from wanting to go physical because that's just a hassle. If I'm going to have to download the game anyway, why don't I just download it? That way I don't have to always have that cartridge in hand because the download is the same no matter what. Just one
Hmm.
requires me to put a cartridge in for just authorizing it, and one doesn't. Yes, I can't sell the game, but I don't know. With games costing that much at this point, I'm only going to buy games that I want to keep and want to play for a long time anyway. And
But
and when it comes to physical games, I typically do. Like if I'm going to buy the physical game, that's a game that I've already decided I want to have in my hands, and I'm not going to plan on reselling it anyway.
and with the limited space of the Switch to memory, as well as the fact that these games are bigger, it's more important now than ever to get the physical, like a full physical Switch 2 game,
Mm-hmm.
because it plays off of the cartridge. So, if you get Donkey Kong physical, however big it is, let's say it's 20 gig, that's 20 gig less you have to worry about putting on your hard drive, because what's going to happen very soon is there you go. What's going to happen very soon is you're going to run out of space and you're going to start
Yep.
deleting. And if you're someone who likes often deletes games, like I'm never going to play this again, that's fine. But then you're going to get games in your rotation like Mario Kart. Well, I want that always there because I'm going to come back to it. You're going to get more and more and more of those games until suddenly you're like, well, now I got to
Mm-hmm.
something's got to give, or I got to buy a new card. And right now, 1 terabyte is the biggest, and they're expensive and very much in demand. And we don't have a 2 terabyte. And when that comes out, truthfully, the 1 terabyte at MSRP was $200. All right, $200. That means the 2 terabyte is going to be $400. You are going to double the price of your system just to get the memory.
Yep.
So keep that in mind. A true physical will play off the cartridge and not take up that room.
Yep.
So that is definitely the way to go if you plan to play a lot of games in the Switch 2 life cycle,
Mm-hmm.
because there's not going to be a lot of true physical ones out there. So utilize that when you can.
Yep, absolutely. And I think that's the thing that upsets me the most because we've talked about this before. The games are significantly larger. I mean, we're talking 4K games now. And overall, Nintendo's great about, throwing a whole lot of a game in a very small amount of a small package, but the third parties don't as much. And so, yeah, I held this up just a second ago. I bit the bullet and got myself the only card that I can find right now is a 256. And so I went ahead and got it because I was running out of space with like 5 games on there. Because I've got a couple that we're going to be reviewing, like Split Fiction and the Yakuza 0 and those games. They're just huge. They're taking up so much space on there. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, I can't even install the update for Fortnite so that I can play that.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I'm going after, a 256 card to at least double the space that I've got. And I had an interesting thing with that. Like, I ordered it from Walmart and it was supposed to be delivered, and then it didn't get delivered for whatever reason. And I talked to them online, and I was like, why didn't it show up? And they're not like, I don't know. And back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. They're finally like, oh, you can order another one. I was like, well, why can't I just go pick this one up? It says it's at the store, but whatever. I finally just order another one, and they gave me a $15 discount, like promo code for my inconvenience. And so the $59 card got knocked down to $44. So I got a pretty good deal on this one. And then later that night, the other one finally showed up in the mail. So I have a second one that I'm just going to return because I don't need a second 256 card, and I really don't. I haven't tried swapping them out, but that seems like a pain as well. So I don't know.
Too bad you can't just put them together and make a 512.
I know. That'd be great. But
Right?
even the 512, I'll run out of space quickly.
Now it just feels like a weird missed opportunity to really take advantage, and knowing that this was going to be a case. And sometimes the one game I will give an exception to is Split Fiction. The game exists in a physical box, but it is a coded box. And the reason I say that is because the game is 69 gig. It is bigger than the Switch 2 card can hold. And in a case like that, there's not much you can do. But just think about that. If you get Split Fiction on the Switch 2, it's 69 gig, and you start with 256 minus OS. Like, that is a huge, huge chunk, and that's day one. We're talking a system that's going to last a decade.
Yeah,
Like, you
without
got plenty of
updates.
time to fill that up without updates. So definitely important. I'm really surprised Nintendo didn't put at least a second card reader in there. That way you can have multiple, like a computer, you could have multiple hard drives. Why not have multiple SD slots and let it read off either one, like partition it out? That would be cool. Then we could at least customize how much space we want to a more of a degree, but
Mm-hmm.
we'll
Yeah.
see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, Zev Zero is saying it was very nice of Walmart. Yeah, after I finally talked to them a long time in the chat. But it was also really nice that they gave us the chips and soda with my pre-order as well. Peachamon says they need to announce system sellers like Pokemon, Animal Crossing, more Mario games, of course. Yeah, and I think they will. People are thinking that was going to happen in some sort of Nintendo Direct here in June. Looks like we're just getting the Donkey Kong one. However, they could still drop it at any point. But we'll see if we'll actually get one this summer or not. It would be weird not to have one, but Nintendo's done weirder things in the past. Greg, you were about to say something earlier, I think, about the storage and everything.
Yeah, I just can't believe the storage situation. I really wish they would have just had more onboard storage, whether it was just 500 or even 1 terabyte, because this is going to be astronomically awful for a lot of people, especially with everyone trying to get these key cards, and that kind of all just relates right there. It just takes up all your memory right there, and even then it's not even on the card. So, yeah, I don't think I'm really trying to be supporting most of those key cards if I can mostly avoid it, but that's just part of the situation that we got here. So I understand that's kind of a existing problem with a third party just kind of just throwing the code in the box or forcing you to download it anyways on the Switch 1, but this is making them more saying, hey, we don't even want to pay for the bigger card, so let's just throw it as a key card. So that's
So if you want to combat key cards, the best thing you can do is A, not buy them, and B, support the devs and the publishers that are doing the proper physicals. And right now that's Nintendo. All of Nintendo first party games are complete. That's Cyberpunk, Project Red, get Cyberpunk. That's Rune Factory, and all of Marvelous's games, Story of Season and Demon X Machina 2 are all going to be complete on cart. Support them, show them that you want proper. And PM Studios, we've announced that we are going to be doing proper games as well, full physicals, not game key cards. The support is needed to show the devs that are doing game key cards, hey, maybe we should look into doing it properly. Obviously, games like Split Fiction, again, there's really nothing you could do other than find a way to lower the, get some kind of compressor or something to lower it a bit. But otherwise, there's way more games. There's like 3 or 4 or 5 times the amount of game key cards right now available to either purchase or pre-order versus the amount of games that are complete on card. And again, that's not even counting Civilization and Split Fiction, which are actually codes on a box. They're literally paper codes. They don't even have game key cards. So it's sad. It really is sad. No, that's the way to do it. Support proper physical, and that way, you not only do you save space, but maybe these other companies will start to listen, because it's really sucks. That's a really scary world we're living in, because the internet can be shut down at any moment. Remember, we don't own Nintendo servers. We just pay for a license to use their servers, to download and to play games.
Yeah, and I realized that, yet again when I booted up my Wii U this last week, and I was like, oh, can't really access that eShop anymore. Thankfully, you can get on there and re-download games that you've already purchased, but that's about it. And at some point, they'll probably shut that down too. So what are some highlights so far that you had with the Switch 2? Like, what are some like the really big moments you're like, man, I'm so glad they did this, or I'm had this amazing experience with this. This made this worthwhile, me spending this much on a brand new console from Nintendo. What do you think, Greg?
I don't know, like what Barry said with the eShop, I can't believe how much more seamless it is. Like I log into the Switch One eShop, and like you just hit down, and then it feels like you have to wait like 10 seconds. Then it's like, oh, now the box just goes to the next like section. So it's like it's so much faster and seamless, and I don't understand. Like it's like they finally learned how to do that Wii U update again on Switch 2. It's like
Yeah.
because that was notoriously slow for the launch Wii U systems. But yeah, the eShop is definitely very appreciated, well smooth. I finally did check out the virtual key card update thing. Like so, my daughter kind of discovered like Just Dance like with on Switch One with some of her stepsisters. So I was like, hey, I got this new Just Dance game that we still have on our list, and I was like, here, I can loan it out for 2 weeks, and she can play with maybe this weekend on with her sister, like her stepsisters. So I finally got that all like set up and learned how to do that, and that's nice and seamless and very quick and easy to just hey, borrowing it for 2 weeks and just downloads right into her system and she can play it. So that was really cool update there with be able to loan out the virtual games. But yeah, I mean, outside the battery stuff, which is pretty bad, and also even the hard drive space, there's seems like a lot of the good stuff is kind of not really as seen right now. But I'm just really hoping that we do get that main direct, like either later this month or next month, to kind of outline to say, hey, here's the next Mario game, and here's when Metroid Prime 4 comes out, and here's this game, and other stuff that we don't know that we want yet. But
Yeah. Well, and actually, this is kind of interesting that I noticed some of those games that you mentioned, game sharing and loaning out the games. You can do this with like Puyo Puyo Tetris 2S is only a Switch 2 game, correct? But you can you can game share it to a Switch 1.
Yeah.
Like that, what? Like I was blown away by that. I was like, what? I didn't even realize this is a thing. Like, is it's somehow built into it, and that's what you're able to ship it over, even though it's actually not a Switch One game. You can send over a Switch One version to a Switch One, which is really cool. Like that blew
It's
my mind.
probably running the Switch One version of Puyo
It
Puyo
probably
Tetris
is,
too.
but the fact that they don't have a Switch One version, but you can share it with a Switch One was just really cool for me. So
Well, it is a Switch One version of the game, just not the S with the
right,
one added mode.
yeah,
And the mouse support and stuff like that.
yeah,
But I do agree. I think that's an awesome feature. Same with
Mhm.
Mario Kart World, though. You can actually do that with
Yeah.
Mario Kart World with Switch One, and there is no Switch One version of that game.
You can wait.
I believe you can.
Really?
I don't know. I have to check. I thought you can do game share with that one too.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to check this out. Yeah,
Because
that might
otherwise,
be
what's really
something.
the point of doing game share? Because most people are going to have Mario Kart World on their Switch too. Defeats the purpose of game share.
For the 2% that didn't get it. But yeah, what else stood out to you, Barry, that like has really been a big highlight for you with Switch 2?
I mean, definitely, like Greg said, the eShop, that has been huge. But snappiness, it just the control, like the feel, it just feels new. It feels fresh. But it's, jumping back and forth between the Switch and the Switch 2 literally daily, every day I do. And there are also other times that I forget which console I'm on. And I'm like, oh yeah, let me go check on the. Oh no, I'm on the Switch One. That's why eShop's loading forever. Hold on, let me switch over. Because the interface is so similar.
Mm.
And I think one thing that stood out to me that's a negative. It's a negative for me, and that is defining software. And what
Mm.
I mean by that is Mario Kart World is a great game. And we'll talk more about it. And I have a lot of fun with it and I enjoy it. But Mario Kart to me, while it's a system seller, has always been one of those games I pick up, I play, I finish in a couple days, unlocking what I unlock, and then I come back to it with friends and then I move on to single player because I'm a very big single player gamer. And when I think back to some significant launches, of playing Super Mario on the NES and obviously Mario World, Mario 64 was just astronomical. That was just, oh my God, I was hooked on that game forever. It was just so great, and on the GameCube, it was actually like Rogue Squadron 2 was the big game that really hooked me. That and Tony Hawk 3.
Mm.
Like really though, like they were huge, and the Wii had Tears or Twilight Princess. I was hooked. Like boom, this here we go, and obviously the Wii U had New Super Mario U. Again, I was hooked on it, and the Switch had Breath of the Wild. They were so exciting. Like I remember when the Switch launched, I had a review I Am Setsuna, which I really really enjoyed, and I didn't give the game, even though I did give it a positive review and I had fun with it. The whole time I was playing it, I was like, I wish I was playing Breath of the Wild. Like that's hooked me in. I don't have that with Mario Kart World. I'm playing Sonic. I'm playing Puyo Puyo Tetris, and I'm never thinking, boy, I wish I was playing Mario World and Mario Kart World instead.
Mm.
Um, because I did it. I did it really quickly overall, outside of the stupid Kamek item and the RNG, and screw that. That pisses me off. But and I'm sure Rune Factory is going to be one of those games if I didn't, I have to play those other ones to review. But it's still Nintendo didn't capture that. And if Donkey Kong was a launch title, Donkey Kong could very well be that title for me. And that could be the moment where it's like, boom, now I'm glad I have the Switch too. And I am glad I have it, but Mario Kart World doesn't feel like, to me, it couldn't be done on the Switch One. Like
Mm.
the graphics are beautiful, but I mean, when you already have a PlayStation and Xbox, it doesn't feel as monumental as someone who maybe only had a Switch. Like my father-in-law, he was playing MLB The Show, and when I was showing it and playing it on the Switch too, it ran beautifully, but I could tell that it was Switch graphics. Like it was still
Mm.
nowhere near as detailed, and he was like, "These graphics are great," because he hadn't been experiencing that other stuff. And in a vacuum like that, it's wonderful. I'm like, "Good. Don't look at the other ones. Let's keep it here," because again, it doesn't look bad, but you can tell the Switch One version is not as powerful as the others.
Sure.
And I feel that's almost the same way. Like I feel as great as Mario Kart World is, and I do enjoy it, and I do enjoy the free roam and all that stuff, and the courses and everything. I don't feel it's something that the Switch One couldn't pull off. I feel like the Switch One could pull that off because I've watched the Switch One pull off other titles and other great things. Maybe not the same frame rate, maybe a lower
Yeah.
frame rate, but the gameplay itself. When I play a game, I don't usually look at the graphics or care about the graphics. And as long as the frame rate is steady, it could be 30 frames per second. I don't care. I care about the gameplay. The gameplay is great, but the gameplay doesn't scream, "You need a brand new system for this."
Mm. Yeah.
At least to me. I could be off, but to me.
Sure.
I mean, it did start as a Switch One game. Like they had that
Yes.
what like the what to ask type thing. I don't know what they call it these days, but the developer interview where it said it was basically supposed to be Switch's version of Mario Kart, but obviously they couldn't really trample on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, I mean the overall idea of the game, yeah, I think could be there, but But to pull it off with that quality, we do need that Switch 2 hardware, I think, to make it as seamless as it is, as quick as it is, to keep the higher frame rate. I think Mario Kart is one of those games that it does perform. Like if it can perform better, it is going to be a better experience overall. Would we have had a horrible experience if it released for Switch? Probably not. But I could definitely tell it's a better performing game on Switch 2 because of the better hardware for sure. But yeah, there's nothing in and of itself that was like, oh, this has to have better hardware in order to accomplish the same idea, because it's essentially just taking the Mario Kart world that we have experienced and just making it bigger and all connected and everything. But I will say just the overall speed of the system is fantastic. It is quick. It's quick in booting up games. It's quick in like pulling, like you guys, the eShop, all the other channels that it has built into the system. It is just a snappy system, and it's so great. I love seeing how Switch 1 games are running significantly faster and at a higher clip as well, which is really cool to see without the Switch 2 version updates and all that stuff. Just putting in a Switch 1 game into the system, it just runs smoother, and that's a cool thing. I was glad to see that. Part of me feared that they may kind of lock down those enhancements behind some sort of paywall or whatever. So I'm glad to see that they're just naturally working better and running better as well. Zev Zero is saying that the GameCube controller and the games play very well. I'm enjoying the GameCube games too. Also enjoying the new app to share pictures and videos, which threw me off in the beginning because I was expecting like the share button or the QR code that you had to scan before, and now just the fact that I can send it to the Nintendo app on my phone, I'm like, oh, this is so, thank you, Nintendo, for finally stepping into the 2020s with your systems and how you share photos and things like that. I think it still could get better, but it's a significant step over what the Switch 1 had for sure. Yeah.
I do want to follow up quickly on what I said, because I'm sure I'm going to get the firing squad from some people. Because I did mention some games. I'm sure there's someone listening who's going, well, you mentioned Twilight Princess, and that was a GameCube game, and you mentioned Breath of the Wild, and that was a Wii U game. But Twilight Princess and the Wii had the motion control that you couldn't use with the GameCube. It felt like a revolution, even though your hand got tired. But it felt like I'm doing something that's exclusive to this system, new control format. And with Breath of the Wild, yeah, it was it was on the Wii U. You're right. But now we had true portability, which Wii U kind of teased. And the fact that we're playing this great world anywhere we want to go was really cool, because beforehand the Nintendo handhelds could never do something like Breath of the Wild, and to have that on the go and just be able to, like, the novelty of it was fantastic. But the Switch 2 doesn't have that. I could take Mario Kart World portably and it doesn't feel anything special. The biggest thing is the mouse control, which I have not really messed around with much outside of the initial, like, oh, this is cool, it's working, back in, because the system doesn't, or that game doesn't utilize it. So it feels no different than the Switch 1 to me right now. And I think without that wow moment, I haven't hit. Like, yeah, for Switch 1 games, you're right. It plays fantastic, and it's great to see that it's not locked and that it improves that. But that's just like buying a better computer to play older games or whatever. Like, I want that new experience. I want that, and I know I'm probably not going to get that this year. Even when we're talking about Metroid Prime, or we're talking about Pokemon ZA, those are Switch games. They're on the Switch. They're going to have this new Switch 2 editions. Donkey Kong could be it, because that's the first one that's really its own thing, and maybe something we don't know about. But I'm waiting for that moment to really click for me, and
Yeah.
I hope it's Donkey Kong, because I want that feeling again. Like, yeah, this is something new, as opposed to it's a more powerful Switch, because that's what it is, and that's what I wanted. I wanted a more powerful Switch. I'm not complaining about that, but I want to keep that excitement going.
Something to really chew in with that new power
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Greg, what were you going to say?
But yeah, I'm pretty much right on board with what Barry's been saying. Even though I am more like his father-in-law, I don't have any Xboxes or PlayStation consoles. But even then, it's like it is the stuff that what I wanted. It's a more powerful Switch, and I think it's kind of even harder to see that with like how the battery life did seem like it really improved or even like kind of rescinded a little bit. So it's almost like the DS was you could last it for 100 hours on a single charge, and then like the 3DS was like, oh, 3.3 hours. Like it's like, oh wow, well, that's kind of a big difference there, and that's where I kind of noticed it, and it's kind of makes it a struggle to even want to travel with it. I mean, obviously, if it's good for a little short burst here and there, but if it's draining most of the battery without even really playing the game, if you left it in sleep mode, then it's not
Mm-hmm.
really getting all that time to even really enjoy that wow factor of just taking this great game on the go. It's
Yeah.
kind of creates more of that situation where you really want to bring the dock and bring to have a way to have it charge and still be able to play at a TV. So
Mm-hmm.
um, that's where I mean, I don't really notice too much about the graphical stuff. Mario Kart World looks incredibly beautiful to me. I don't really mind with the frame rates and stuff either. Whatever it's running smooth, it looks great, and I enjoy everything like that. But if it's, I can only play it for an hour and a half. If somebody else is like watching a movie on the TV, then that really kind of is a bigger issue to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm not bothered as much because I have number one, I play mostly docked, but I'm going to be traveling a lot soon. But I also have like 3 or 4 portable batteries that I use my phones already, and I can easily use those with the Switch 2 as well. And so I feel like I'm not as bothered by it. But granted, I've not traveled with it, unlike Greg, like you have. You've actually traveled with it and been bothered by it. For me, that's still a thought. Like, I think I'll be okay. We'll see. We'll see in a month how I feel about it. I think I'll be okay with my portable batteries, but maybe I won't. While I'm sitting at home, I've got a USB, cable that runs right by my seat on the couch. So if the TV's been used, I just pop it on the USB-C cable and I can play without worrying about it. But I'm sure I'll find myself in some sort of situation where I will be right alongside you at some point and going, "Oh man, that battery sucks." Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean that was like my major Switch moment. Even like I took it out, like go just sit like at a coffee shop or a library, whatever that day, just because it was like, hey, I can play Breath of the Wild wherever I choose to be, and that made it even more novelty and had that really more wow factor just to be able to say, hey, I'm able to play this game wherever I want to be, and it's not gonna like I see the flashing red lights showing it's gonna kill me, and like after like an hour of just being there, so.
Mm-hmm. So, looking at like some of the thoughts that come to my mind, we've talked about before. I think the Joy Cons, the feel of the console being bigger in your hands, all those things, I think is better for me. I'm enjoying just the look of the console. It looks better. Just overall, I'm having a better, more professional experience with it. But there are some other interesting things that I have noticed. For instance, in the Pro controller. One positive is that I don't find myself. I thought I would be finding myself hitting those C button or those what do they call them? D H whatever. What's those extra
G
buttons? G.
G
One of those
GL and
letters.
GR.
G buttons like as much as I thought I would because I thought they were right in my grip, but I'm actually not hitting them. Um, I am still struggling to find a use for them. I've had them on other controllers in the past and I'm like, oh, this would be really cool. And then I end up not using them. And so it's cool that you can have them. I love the fact that you can program them per game. That's fantastic. And I think other third party controllers that also use that will be allowed to program them also per game and use that part of the firmware, which is really cool. But while I have not noticed it yet, I think the control pad has improved over the Switch 1 Pro controller, but it is not where I really hoped it would be. It is they've taken it a good step in the right direction, but they still haven't, like, they need to get back to, in my opinion, what it used to be like on the Wii U Pro controller. That was a fantastic control pad on there. You like the ability to rock if you're pushing right to be able to rock up or down is a little too easy. On the Switch Pro controller, it was way too easy. I was mispressing all the time on that. Switch 2 Pro controller is better, but it is not anywhere close to where the Wii U one was or the Wii Pro controller were. They were fantastic in terms of the control panel. And normally that doesn't bother me, except for there's some games right now like Puyo Puyo Tetris that I need to be precise in where I'm pressing, or Sonic Generations, like I need to be precise when it's a side scroller, things like that. That I'm like, it could be just a little better than it is. But overall, love the Pro controller. It's a fantastic controller. It feels so good, and in my hands and everything too. Any other highlights that we want to mention before we talk some negatives and then wrap up?
I agree with you with the G buttons. I never, like when we talked and we did our initial first day impressions, you guys both were worried about them, and I never touched them. And I still don't. Like they're never got in the way. In fact, sometimes I pick up the controller and when picking it up, I hit them on accident before the system's even on. I'm like, oh yeah, that's even there. I used them with the Split Pad Pro at the Hori, the Demon X Machina Split Pad Pro when that came out, and I did use it because a lot of the things was like Animal Crossing. It was a big thing, and I was using the auto, like the turbo, because I had turbo functions, and I was able to just play one handed in that sense because I'm like, oh, I could just do, push one button and the other, and it worked. But I haven't had a game that I really need to use that right now. There's nothing that's been like, oh my god, wouldn't it be so much easier if I could push this button? I love that it's there. I hope some third parties take advantage of it, but it's nothing right now. What I would kill for was button mapping in the Nintendo Switch apps, like the NSO apps. I would kill for that because whoever monster at Nintendo thinks that A has to be jump and B the A and B of the NES need to be the A and B of the Switch Pro controller needs to just be fired. It has to be Y and B. I'm sorry. That's what you trained us for with the Super Nintendo when you did that. You told us this is the way it was supposed to be.
It's also just
Keep it
ergonomically better.
ergonomically better.
Yeah.
This is terrible. This feels natural.
And you
It's
can
like
you can map them in the GameCube app, right?
yes.
So they've added that enhancement to that one. Why not add it to the other ones?
Yeah. Now there is a solution. You could with the Pro controller, you can actually back out and you could remap it with the
From a
Pro
system
controller
level.
in the system setting
Yeah.
and then play. And that's how I've had to do the NSO stuff. But that maps it for
You have a
everything. So
dedicated controller just for that.
it's
Yeah.
so annoying. So let me just remap it in the system because that would be ideal. And keep the settings, remap it and keep the settings saved. Because I'm sure there's people that go, oh, I really like the A B the way it is. Sure, that's
Options.
fine. But give us the options.
Yep.
I complained about this back when Luigi's Mansion 3 came out. Give us the options to invert controls. I don't know why so many people are against options. Like, to me, it boggles
as
my
the
mind.
developer intended.
And the developer did not intend us to play this way. I know because
Also
the
true.
game came out on a system that we played this way.
Very true. Very true. Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, we did cover them trying to be more accessibly minded. Like I think of 2 or 3 episodes ago. So
that's true. Yeah.
I think they finally learned their errors, and those older NSO apps just really need an update to allow that kind of button mapping right there.
Yeah, because those mapping is very much an accessibility thing. And yeah, if we want to appeal to more people, like I think, like you said, Barry, I mean, you did it just for the fun of it with your Split Pad Pro, but people that just have one hand, if you're able to program something that's on the left side onto that G button, that could be a game changer for some people.
So with the Split Pad Pro, you couldn't. The way the Split Pad Pro worked is you can only remap the right one with a button on the right side and the left one with a button on the left. The main thing I did was like the left, I would do like the L trigger or whatnot. But you're right. There are people with only one hand or situations where you can only play one-handed currently. And the fact that like if you could do that one hand while doing something else with the other hand, whether it be left or right, that's a big thing. That's huge. So I agree. And I think the Pro controller, you can map anything to them. So you can do the left on the right side.
Yep.
So you can map that L trigger to the right side, and if you can control with the right stick, you can pretty much play with just your right hand, or
Potentially.
and that's fantastic. Accessibility, options, those are always good things and should always be celebrated. Period.
Hmm.
So I want to see more of that. I want to see them again update the eShop on the Switch One. They can't abandon the Switch One. The Switch One is still making the money. There's still 1.5 million Switches out there. There's still going to be games coming out for the Switch One, a ton of games. Make it easier for them, and most importantly, make it easier for the developers that are getting the games out there, because it is such a hassle, and these are the livelihoods. They're depending on that infrastructure.
Hmm.
I think a lot of the stuff that the Switch 2 does really well, the Switch 1 can mimic that because the OS appears to be very, very similar.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and themes. Give us themes. What the hell? Come on, Nintendo.
Yeah.
Give
Themes
us
and
themes.
folders.
And folders.
We
Well,
have
they do have
groups.
folders. They have groups.
That's
They
not
have
really
folders.
what I want, though.
I like groups. I like
They're
groups.
okay. I just don't like it's buried on that other screen. Like, it's fine how they did it, but just I don't want it buried in the other screen. If I want to, like, if there's like my NSO apps, like I would love to be able to put those in one folder, have it on my main screen. But the fact that I have to go to the other screen, I get it. It's not that big of a deal, but it'd be a nice little
Or
improvement.
on the home screen, does the L1 do anything? Because when you go to the right, that opens up groups.
Yeah,
So what if they
it's a
just
quicker
allowed
way to
you
get
to
there.
just push L1 on the main screen and get to your groups?
Yeah.
That would solve that problem instantly.
Yeah, that's true. Well, let's
So
move
let's
on. As we're speaking of some things that could be improved, what are some low lights so far? And I'll just say I'll start us off with a really light one. Low light is excessive accessories. The console was readily available. Accessories are hard to find. This is one of the cases I ended up getting because it was the only one I could find. But it was at Best Buy. It's okay. It deals with it okay. I finally found this one on Amazon, and it's a more slim case. I would love to have the type of slim case that I had for the Switch One. It's just a sleeve that I'm able to like toss it in. It fits easily in my bag. However, Nintendo sells one that seems pretty close to it, but it is sold out everywhere. I really didn't think the accessories would be the harder thing to find for this system. So that's a light one, but I'm bummed. Like, come on, guys, push out those accessories a little faster. Greg, anything else that kind of stands out? Or like, man, I'm really bummed about this part of the Switch 2.
I mean, I think that's more of a Colorado issue. I've been walking into Targets the last few days, or even
Really?
like, and I see like the Switch cases. I see plenty of games. I see plenty of cameras. I see SD cards. Like I see like all the mainline accessories. Like
I need to go to
pretty much
Chicago.
any Target or Best Buy that I've entered in the last like 2 weeks. But,
wow, it is sold out here in
I don't-
Denver. So
I don't know if a lot of people just didn't buy them out here, or if they somehow got a lot more stock and not enough people bought the ones they got in stock. I don't know how it happened, but it could be some combination of both, I guess. But yeah, because I mean, my camera and the case didn't even arrive from Target on that Thursday before the trip, so I ended up just walking into a Target and just bought it, and now I have an extra of each, and I have to return the ones that did arrive after the fact when I was gone. So
ship it to Steve.
yeah. Let me see which ones you got. Maybe I'll take it off your hands.
I mean, I got whatever the official Nintendo camera,
That's
and
what I was
that was
looking
the actual,
not the camera, but
and
I'm
then
just looking for the case.
well, yeah, and also the case with the screen protector thing that was part of it. Because I don't really like to buy like a more ergonomic one, like I like the Skull Candy one on the Switch One. It had like the nice grip with the Joy Cons, but obviously it was too close to release for them to really issue anything out. So yeah, I do have an extra case and looking to return it and potentially even exchange it for another Pro controller, because I've seen a number of those still out there as well too. But yeah, for other things, like I know we've already talked about the hard space, but that's really a big, much bigger thing for me to not have a lot more games on the console, and for our review games to be taken up as basically mostly half of the space that's there. But really hope my memory card comes in the next few days, and hopefully I'll be set for at least hopefully a month or so before the even more games come that are way too big.
Yeah. Barry, anything else stand out to you that kind of unfortunate about Switch 2?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Nintendo could have made two models of this. And I know it was already expensive, 450. But I feel if they did a 550 version, right, $100 more, but it gave you 1 terabyte internal instead of 256, right? And it just that alone,
I mean,
I
can they
think
do that
people
for only $100 more? I mean, we know how much that
it's
storage cost ourselves.
yeah, but it's different. The micro SD card is a different format. I'm sure they could.
Sure.
I'm
I
sure they
mean, for
could.
every double in memory on your iPhone, it's like another $100. So if they take that
Yeah,
same approach, I don't know. I don't know how
exactly.
much it actually is costing. I just know how much I pay for it for my iPhone. So
Exactly. And if they
yeah,
did that, I think it would be better. I think that would have been nicer, and it would have given people an option. And some people would have been like, "Oh my God, 550, just get a PlayStation." And they're already saying that, whatever. But it depends. Like Greg said, the the nice thing about the Switch One is that there was a lot of games that were really small, 300K, 400K, 500K, some
yeah,
less, some maybe a gig, maybe even 2 gig. But you can have up to a 2 terabyte SD card. Plus, if you have the OLED, you have an additional 64 gig internal. You can have a library of 100, 200, 300, 500 games that are sitting on your system with more room, and you can carry that, and it's pretty much like portable arcade. And especially if you have more games that are just to download, as long as you have internet, be like, oh, I'll just download that now. The Switch 2, you won't be able to do that. You'll be able to, even at the biggest you could do, you have 1 terabyte with the SD card and 256 internal. You're going to be able to get, you know, 10, 15 games on there,
mm,
maybe 20,
yeah,
which is a very big difference from hundreds of games. And if you have certain staples that you really love, say you love Smash Brothers, some Mario Kart, you say, "Oh, I love Clubhouse games because it's nice relaxing for a plane." Maybe you're a fighting fan and you want like the Capcom Fighting Arcade collection, the Marvel vs. Capcom collection. Maybe you say, "Well,
Mario
I
Party
love
Jamboree.
Mario Party, you want the Mario Party." Say you're like Jackbox, like Steve and I, and you have all 11 Jackbox games on there that are taking up room. Like all of that is going to
yeah,
eat up, and you are going to be left like right now, like my PS5. Every game I put in, I've got to delete something because I got Final Fantasy 14 that has to live there permanently. I've got the VR games that I need to live there permanently to put on, just easy access. uh, like that takes up most of the space. So I have room for 1 to 2 games at a time that I'm constantly deleting just to play something else, and that sucks.
yeah,
And fair, I have 1 terabyte on the PS5. I don't have any additional hard drive. It's literally the base 1 terabyte.
mm-hmm,
But that sucks. I don't
yeah,
want that for the Switch 2,
yeah,
and especially with the portable nature. That's where the actual game cards come into play. But
mm-hmm,
Nintendo might do that. And you know what? Maybe in 2 years they'll be like, here's a Zelda special edition that has a 1 terabyte built in. And then it'll be like, oh, you should have waited, blah blah blah. And then we're all sitting there upgrading, and we're not up. And we say, why'd you upgrade? Was it for the Zelda graphics? And it'd be like, well, that's great and all, but I'd rather have that
yeah,
750 extra gigabyte to put games on.
yeah, yeah,
No,
totally
I'm thankful that it was at least 256 and they didn't do something like 64 or
true.
like.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I mean,
they
I
even
think we
made a
were all
big deal
expecting
about that.
128 and to at least
Yeah,
be 256. Nice.
but they made a big deal about like, oh,
Yeah,
all this extra memory over the OLED, and you got up to 256. But what they failed to tell you with the nice asterisk is our games are going to take up way more room. So while you think you're getting a bigger number,
yeah,
you're really not. That's like saying, hey, I'm going to sell you something. It's $10. I'm giving you 10% off. You're saving $1. I'm only saving $1. Well, if it was $100, now you're saving $10. Well, I'm saving 10. It's the same percentage. It's still
yeah.
10%.
Well, because like, what was the storage on the base Switch? Was it 64? 32?
The base was, I think, 32. The OLED was 64.
Okay. So you're really, quadrupling from the OLED. Well, guess what? Like most of the games are quadrupled size because it's 4K versus 1080p. That's
Yeah.
graphics alone, they're 4 times the size, let alone everything else they want to throw in it. Like you said, like Split Fiction, gigantic game.
It's bigger than the OLED. You can't actually put it
Yeah.
in an OLED without an SD. And do you remember there were several Switch games that specifically said, like, even if you bought the physical, you need an SD card.
Yeah.
And this is not a new thing. I don't know if you remember the original Animal Crossing in America. You know, we didn't get the N64
Mhm.
one. It was so big that it took up an entire memory card that Nintendo had to ship the game with a memory card because otherwise most people wouldn't be able to play the game because they have stuff on their memory card.
Yep.
This has not been a new thing. Nintendo is aware that games take up space and they need to provide adequate space.
Yep.
They didn't, unless you're only playing 5 games in the entire life cycle, in which case they did. Congratulations. But
Yep.
the gamers, the ones that are spending the big money, those are the ones you want to cater to. You don't want to cater to the people who are only buying 5 games. You want to cater to the people who are buying 500 games, because if they're buying 500 games, they're giving you more money.
Well, and you put that much storage on there, and people may want to use that storage. And how you're going to use it is to buy more
Yeah.
games for your system. And yeah,
And especially if they make it easier, because right now the Switch 2 is really a direct competition with PlayStation and Xbox. The Switch 1 was a side branch. The Switch 2 is now more direct competition. It now is a 4K system. It is more graphical, have higher frame rates. The ports can come over. Bond, we just talked about Bond coming over. Now we've got the Bond isn't going to be a Switch version. It might not be as pretty as a PS5 Pro version, and it may have slightly less frame rates, but it's still going to be graphically comparable.
Mhm.
And unless you have it side by side, maybe you won't notice. So people are now going to debate PS5 Pro, super high graphics, or slightly less but portable with the Switch 2.
Mhm.
You want people to say, well, the PS5, I've got to delete stuff and then install from the disk. But if I pop the Switch 2 cartridge, I can play right away. I don't have to delete. There's no hassle. You want people to have an easier time. You want developers to have an easier time on your system. So they choose your system,
Yeah.
because most people, if they want that Bond game, they're going to buy it once. And as Nintendo, you want them to buy your copy, not the other parties, which again goes back to what I said about Summer Game Fest, how it's important to make that message
Mhm.
out there, not in a tweet
Yeah.
a week and a half later.
Yeah.
So I want to
Yeah.
see them succeed, and it frustrates me because Nintendo, once again, is Nintendoing.
Totally. Yeah. Um, let's just go around real quick. Based on your experience, and let's say you can actually find one. I think they're coming back in stock a little bit, and of course you can buy them on eBay and things like that. But based on your experience so far, Greg, are you happy you bought it? And when you recommend it to others who are thinking about getting a Switch 2 right now, like, would you say, yeah, go for it, or hold off for a while?
And this is where I get caught in that phase, because it seems like I know I was caught up in the hype, and I know I really like it, but it really ultimately depends on like your situation. If you still have the backlog of Switch games, it's probably easier just to kind of hold off and see if they do have more memory, like version, like a refresh, I guess, down the line, or kind of something like that as well too. And there'll also be a lot more games to play at that point. But at least for me, not having another console, it made a lot of sense. But even then, like the portability factor is kind of hurt with the restricted battery life. So if you're trying to do it because you just want to travel, like whatever the country that you're in, whether it's US or whatever, or multiple countries in like Europe, then it might be kind of a tougher sell if that's what you're bringing down with like such a lower battery life. But if you're content just playing at a TV, then it will probably get the job done. And then, but as with the space restraints, then it's kind of like, well, you don't really want to transfer your entire Switch One library over because it's not going to fit. 'Cause, like you're not going to be able to download any Switch 2 games, and it's like, well, why'd you just buy the console for to transfer everything over, and you can't really even have the space to even download anything brand new
Mhm.
that you do want to play. So it kind of is that crosshairs point, where if you didn't have a Switch, then it makes I guess even less sense to do it if you didn't have the Switch before, because then you have a whole library in the system to have, and instead of buying the Switch 2 outright and not having the Switch, where you have to buy all the Switch 1 games that you missed out on, like Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, and all those downloads and everything will just kind of add up, and like you do have access to the excellent library, but that's also at the expense of the space that you have, or if you have lots of shelf space for at least all the Nintendo games that are full on cart, then that's great there too. But I mean, with the game key cards and also the minimal hard drive space, it's kind of like a tough recommendation.
That's true. Yeah. Barry, what do you think?
I think it depends on your situation. So, if first off, if someone asks you, is Mario Kart World a game you must play now? If Donkey Kong Bonanza is a game you must play next month, so shortly. If the answer is yes to either of those games, then it doesn't matter what I say. Then the
You've
answer
already
is
got one.
yes. You either A, already have one, or B, you're trying to find one because you want to play those games, and they're only available on the Switch too. So that's a moot point. If you're somebody like Greg who only has a Switch and doesn't have a PlayStation of any kind or an Xbox of any kind, and you really love Nintendo games, you support the software, and you want to get more third party, then yes, you're getting it for the Nintendo titles, and you're getting it to experience more third party games that you missed out on, like Elden Ring, which is coming, for example. Then yes, absolutely. Right now, whether you get it right now though depends on the games to play. If the answer is no to that first thing I talked about with Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong, then you shouldn't buy it now. You should wait. There's no reason to buy it now. Why? To play some of the Switch One games a little bit better. And if you don't have a Switch One, now's the perfect time to get a Switch One because you've got a ridiculous library that you can catch up on. You can get a 2 gig uh, SD card for cheaper than the $200 1 terabyte express card, and with 2 gig plus whatever internal on the system you have, you could fill it with a crap ton of fantastic games. And one thing we talked about this generation is that there's so many collections out there of older games. And if you've never experienced those older games, you want to relive them, the Switch is perfect for that. Between the Atari, you got the Capcom fighting collections, you got the Mega Man, you've got, so many. Mortal Kombat collection was just announced at Summer Game Fest. You've got Gex, you
Castlevania.
Castlevania, you got Contra, like all these games plus the NSO apps. You don't need the power of a Switch 2 to run any of those. You're fine on the Switch. You can coast on that for a long, long time and enjoy it and have fun living down memory lane. So I, the Switch, I recommended it. Like Breath of the Wild was a big enough system seller. I Am Setsuna was good. The portability was really the game changer, and it was the next evolution. And while the Switch 2 is the next evolution, I feel at this stage of the game, most people have a portable system of some kind for travel, and if they're cooking it up to their TV, and I do play docked, if the Switch was your supplementary system and you already have a PlayStation or Xbox, you're probably playing those third-party games on PlayStation, Xbox. I know for the most part I do, not for the trophies, just because I know they're going to perform better, and I'm playing docked anyway. But it's one of those cases where it's hard to recommend right now. It's all going to come down to the games, and we know this year, Metroid, Pokemon ZX, Pokemon Champions, all three of those games are also going to the Switch. So again, if those are must-play games and you don't mind playing the Switch One versions of them, you can still play them on the Switch. Right now, we only know of the Donkey Kong and Mario Kart, with Mario Kart's out. Welcome Tour from Nintendo, if you want to include that. You got Kirby Air Riders sometime in the future, Hyrule Warriors sometime in the future. Like the lineup of Switch 2 exclusive stuff is very smooth. There's Kirby Forgotten Lands getting a DLC, as well as Mario Party. Again, if those are must plays, then by all means. But right now, for me, there's not a system seller on the Switch 2 yet. Donkey Kong could be, but there's no Mario Odyssey, there's no Breath of the Wild, there's no Xenoblade Chronicles 2, there's no Splatoon 2. Like the Switch 1's first year was so good. Mario and Rabbids, Kingdom Battle. And yeah, you also had Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. You also had ARMS. And those were system sellers for some people, even though, one was a Wii U port. But you don't have that right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hate to say it.
No, I'm right there with you guys. I think if you really, if the games that are out right now, you're like, or Donkey Kong, games that are coming out really soon, then yeah, jump on it. And for the most part, you probably already have one, or you're pre-ordering it, and you're trying to get one right now, and like, yeah, like go for it. You're going to enjoy it. It's going to be a good experience. I don't think any of us have buyer's remorse from this at all. But yeah, if those things are not screaming at you, then it's okay. Like, pump the brakes. You got plenty of Switch 1 games you can play in the meantime. Wait until you can get one. Wait until that game that you just can't wait to play comes out, and then get it then. There'll probably be more in stock at that point, hopefully, and then you can get it then, and maybe by that point they'll have one with even more storage, or the storage extra cards will be easier to get and cheaper, and all those things too. But yeah, it's a fantastic experience what we have so far, but it's not something that everybody needs to have.
And even if you look at the launch lineup, like, we've got a couple games to review. And we talked about Puyo Puyo Tetris 2 is also on the Switch. Sonic X Generations is not only on other platforms, but it's also on the Switch. Split Fiction wasn't on the Switch, but it's already been on other platforms. Yakuza 0, same thing, other platforms. Fast Fusion is exclusive, but we had, Fast RMX previously. But there's so many other games. No Man's Sky got a Switch 2 version, but it was on other platforms and the Switch.
Bravely
There's
Default.
Bravely Default is on the 3DS. The Civilization is on other platforms in addition to the Switch, and I think it's on the I think it's also on the Switch 1 has Civilization. Just looking at the launch lineup, there's very few true exclusives. And as exciting as it is, Street Fighter 6, again, it's on other platforms. So there's nothing that screams, unless it's Mario Kart, Welcome to, or Fast Fusion, or Donkey Kong. Oh my God, I have to get it. Unless you really need the Switch 2 enhancements, or you really want to play Puyo Puyo Tetris with a friend at the same time on the same board. Like, there's just nothing out there that is truly exclusive outside of those, and that sucks.
I mean, it kind of feels like almost like the Wii U type of launch, because I feel like it was like a lot of like, oh, here's Assassin's Creed, here's Call of Duty, but then you have only a few exclusives. Like, oh, here's Mario Brothers U, here's Zombie U, and like it was very limited on. It was a lot of like, here's the games from yesteryear that couldn't make it run on Wii, and here's a Wii U port for it, and then
true.
here's Assassin's
Greg's
Creed
comparing
3,
Switch 2 to Wii U.
Greg, no, Greg's right.
It's true though. It's true. Yeah.
Remember the Wii U launching with Mass Effect 3 while all the other platforms got the Mass Effect trilogy at the exact same time? Like, WTF?
You've got a good point there, Greg. Yep.
Greg's got a perfect point there. That is very right. And that's sad. So the launch lineup is large, but again, if you haven't played those other games, then it's new to you. So that is a positive. If you didn't get to play Sonic X Generations, if you didn't get to play Yakuza, if you didn't get to play Street Fighter 6, they're fantastic games, and they're games you can experience right now portably on the Switch too, and that's awesome. But, and the big but is, if you've already done that, or you have another platform that has the capabilities already, do you need to drop $450 plus to do it portably for a couple hours?
Yeah. Let's move on to our last segment. I think we're already at 2 hours or over, so we can probably wrap this up soon. Thanks for sticking with us this long. But let's look ahead at the next couple weeks. Like as we said, our next episode is going to be going live on July 1st of 2025. But over the next couple weeks, we've got a few games that are coming out. Be scrolling them on the screen as usual. Compliments of Metacritic's list. Games for Switch and Switch 2. Someone's that I wanted to highlight that kind of stood out to me. I said June 18th, so tomorrow, as of this recording, Rocket League Season 9 comes out, and they're doing like in 3 parts this time, which is interesting with some different updates. June 19th, we got the Odd World Anthology and Cornhole, which I thought was just interesting. Like, I like Cornhole. I was like, I didn't realize there's a game just called Cornhole. So I may look into that one. June 26th, we got Arcade Paradise All in One Edition. I played that on something at one point, and I didn't like it, but I know other people do. And then on the June 27th, we're getting Tamagotchi Plaza, which throws me off because I pronounced it Tamagotchi for the longest time. But according to the last Nintendo Direct, it's Tamagotchi apparently. But anyhow, that's coming out on June 27th. June 30th, we're getting House of Dead 2 Remake. And on July 1st, this one threw me off, and I just had to include it. I don't know if it's a good game or not, but it just threw me off. It gets so close to the fact that, or the game No More Heroes 2, but it's not. It's No Heroes Here 2. So completely different game, but that's coming out on July 1st. So not a lot of huge games coming out over the next 2 weeks, which is probably a good thing for those of us that have a gigantic backlog. But Greg, any of those stand out to you that you're looking forward to, or anything in the backlog that you're going to be playing in the next couple weeks?
It's probably mostly hitting the backlog. We got those game chat games we gotta try to get out here hopefully pretty soon, and then also I'm probably not nearly anywhere near as far as Barry and Mario Kart World. There's still plenty for me to unlock and explore. There's still tons and tons of stuff for me, even more costumes to unlock there too. So, and then beyond excited for Donkey Kong, and it'll be here before we know it. So, probably likely not going to be. Most of these didn't really stand out too much from these upcoming lists here.
Yeah. Jakester looks like he's going to be playing, go back to Xenoblade X, get closer to finishing Lego City Undercover, and play more Dokapon Kingdom. Barry, how about you?
Yeah, like Greg said, the main thing is going to be the game chat games. Trying to get through those because I do want to get to Rune Factory. Plus, whatever I have to do for work. Radu Remastered has me interested because it's an SMT game that I never got to play. So I might look into that. And you mentioned Cornhole. What's so interesting about Cornhole, and I noticed Cornhole, Evil Knievel, and Finnegan Fox are all coming. Those are all games developed for the Intellivision Amico that never came out, and now it seems they're like porting those to Switch to at least recoup some of the cost. So those are actually Amico games being brought to Switch. So, and
All
remember,
right.
they
I'm
would always
definitely going to
say
look into this now.
they're like, oh, it can only be done on these are experiences only being able to be done on the Amico, and now here they come to the Switch, which I think is fantastic. So I'm actually been looking at those as well. Like I put them on my wish list just because I'm like, the Amico may never come out, but I kind of want these for like the historical aspect of at least having the games and testing them. And what's also weird is Finnegan Fox, one of the games, is a reskin of a Fox and Forests, which is
Oh,
also on the Switch already. So you're getting two versions of the same game now on the Switch.
sure. Why not? That's fun. I had no idea that was the case. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna look into it. And then yeah, I'm gonna be like Split Fiction, Yakuza 0 are gonna be games I'm gonna try to get some significant time with over the next couple weeks. And then yeah, probably still playing some Mario Kart World. Of course, I have no intentions at all to 100% that game, but for me, like I do enjoy the multiplayer aspect of it, and so like I'll be playing the multiplayer. I played Mario Kart 8 for years and years, Deluxe for years and years. I'll do the same for Mario Kart World as well. It's not one that I'll be putting aside at all. So I'll still go back to that on a regular occasion as well. So Well, that brings us to the end of this episode. This is the first time you've ever joined us for the NintendoFuse podcast, we'd encourage you to like and subscribe and all those different things. Share it with others that are out there that also enjoy Nintendo gaming and love conversations about that. We are going to be live again on July 1st with our next episode. And then, as we said earlier, we're going to be taking a month break for the rest of July for 2025, and then be back in August as well. And in the meantime, one thing that you can do, in addition to follow us on social media and join our Discord, is that just today, we were actually given access to YouTube communities on our YouTube channel. So if you want to chat beyond our comments, you can jump over there on our channel and just hit the visit community tab or the button. I believe you might be able to only do that on the mobile app. So if you're not seeing it on the website version, maybe hop over to the YouTube app and you can visit our community and join in conversations there if you want. Yeah, July 1st, next episode, I'm going to be heading to the Fan Expo in Denver, July 3rd to the 6th, right after our next episode. So you guys are in the Denver area or planning to be there for Fan Expo, let me know. I'd love to meet up with anybody from our community that's also going to be there. Greg, anything big coming out over the next couple of weeks they're going to be doing? Not going back to Nintendo World, I'm assuming.
Unfortunately not, but funny thing is I'm already trying to plan a time to go out to Orlando, but it's not going to be like this year, most likely at all. But yeah, in the next few weeks, it should be mostly lower key and getting everything back to normal. I did find out I'll probably be going to Las Vegas for my brother's wedding in July, so that'll be kind of fun there to have some more fun out on the West Coast and a few weeks during the break at least. So other than that, I don't think there's a whole lot going on.
Cool. Barry, anything big going on in your world?
Well, yeah. Besides, work and a lot of fun stuff happening. My son turns 2
It's
in next
crazy.
week.
Yeah,
Next
just a few
week,
days,
so
right? Yeah.
it's just yeah. So it's like, oh my God, a week and a day he turns 2 years old. So we're throwing a party this Saturday, having a barbecue of all friends come over. So we're looking forward to that and spending time with him and giving him more
Nice.
toys for him to throw around the house because that's what we need. He's got so many toys. My wife has actually gotten different compartments to cycle the toys in. But looking forward to that. And like my in-laws
Is
are
there a
in for
theme for
another.
the party?
Uh, yeah, it's Choo Choo, I'm two or something like that.
Nice.
It's all train themed.
Wow,
Nice.
So I
that's
look,
awesome.
it's gonna be fun. He's got a little shirt that has it. We got the party hat. We got train themed stuff. So he likes trains anyway. So it's gonna be fun. And
Nice.
my in-laws are in for another week and a half and spending time with him, which is great to just let him have that time with them. And so it's busy, especially because I'm working the entire time and my wife is off. So it's like she's doing her own thing, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm at the computer. I still got stuff to do." Like you're all having fun and I'm working. But but no, it's good. It's good for them. We're going to a ball game. My father-in-law has never seen a professional ball game,
Oh, wow.
so we're going over to Citi Field to watch the Mets and the Braves play next week. So that will be fun. Our plan is to hit the Bronx Zoo while they're up here. But it's weird. This whole week is rainy, and next week's going to be a freaking heat wave. So it's like, oh my God. So we're probably going to be walking around the Bronx Zoo sweating our asses off. But yeah, no, it's fun, and I'm gonna try to like get those games in, and I feel really bad because like Rune Factory keeps getting pushed back, and the Atelier is still waiting to do that. That's pushed back, and there's other games in my backlog, and it just keeps growing. So it's crazy. So I want to get
Yep.
to these games. I want to experience these games,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just there's infinite games that are just coming out, and there's games that are out that I want to play that I haven't had a chance to. So
Yep.
it is not enough time, too many games, and now I'm sucked into Asphalt. Damn it.
Yeah. Speaking of games, yeah, we expect we're going to try to get as caught up as we can. We got several reviews and game chats and things that we're going to be posting here on our YouTube channel. And so if you're not subscribed, there's another reason why you should subscribe here on YouTube. We've got several that have been posted over the last few days. We got lots more coming up soon, and soon going to start having game chats on Switch 2 games as well. So make sure you subscribe, and of course, share this with other Nintendo gamers in your life as well. But Barry, Greg, thanks as always for joining me on this one. Thanks to all you guys who have joined us in the live chat. Would love to see you the next one, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time on July 1st. And until next time, happy gaming, everybody.
Have a good one.
See you next time.